Hello and welcome to the Forex Industry News broadcast for September the 2nd, 2015. I'm Andrew Sachs-McLeod. Argentina, well known worldwide to be a fiscal basket case, and a political one for that matter. Today, no exception to that. Argentina's central bank has sent allegations that the Chief Executive Officer of HSBC's Argentinian operations, Gabriel Mancino, failed to supervise anti-money laundering rules and counter-terrorist funding rules. This is really open to question as to whether this is really the case or not, because Argentina is well known to have a disdain for foreign enterprises, and HSBC, being one of the world's largest financial institutions, has a very different sector of business that it operates in South America to its normal mainstay of business in London and North America, and of course the Far East. In South America, they don't really handle so much FX order flow or interbank order flow such as they do in the Western world, in Hong Kong and Singapore, more retail and commercial transactions. However, Argentina, over the last few years, has really shown that it does not wish to have any foreign enterprise in the country, certainly ones that can transfer peso and dollar in and out. For example, just 2 years ago, incumbent President Cristina Kirchner implemented capital control laws against Argentinian citizens who were there was over $160 million worth of foreign currency being held outside Argentina by Argentinian citizens, largely due to lack of confidence in the peso. Kirchner didn't want to do this anymore, so implemented capital control laws and therefore, by force, repatriating those dollars and converting them into pesos. So this case against Gabriel Mancino continues. We're going to see how that pans out, but it may well be an attempt to cause HSBC to have concerns over whether they might wish to stay in the region. We shall see. Leading on to the stock market situation that's currently really volatile, and obviously the epicenter of this was the Chinese stock markets. It's led on to other nations in the world. And just yesterday evening, Christine Lagarde, the managing director of the International Monetary Fund, made a statement saying that it's quite likely that as a result of the stock markets having closed all around the world, including Korea, North America, the UK, all of the FTSE index in London, other stock markets around the world having been severely affected by the Shanghai exchange having lost 40% of its value since over the last 3 weeks, that it's looking really bleak, and certain countries are starting to enter recessions because of this. One very important factor is to look at Canada. Canada upheld itself against the global recession when the financial crisis broke in 2008-2009. Many Western countries suffered house repossessions because of defaults on mortgages, personal debt crises, credit crunch, basically having to have bailouts by the governments and by the International Monetary Fund. Canada didn't do so, and Canadian officials stood by the fact that they believed it was to do with the conservative fiscal policy in Canada. But was it? Canada doesn't really have a conservative fiscal policy. Okay, the banks won't lend money and there's not much of a foreign exchange industry there. It's a traditional equities and stocks-based economy. You have the TMX Atrium there, the Toronto Stock Exchange-owned infrastructure company, which provides liquidity, connections and liquidity to exchanges, but most of the order flow is indeed traditional stocks and equities, unlike south of the border in the United States, where there is a massive amount of institutional Forex order flow and large electronic exchanges that conduct liquid assets such as Forex. This is not the case in Canada. However, Canada is now entering a recession. And why is that? All of a sudden, China's stocks are crashing. Over the last 10 years, Chinese investment into Canada has been immense. If you go to Toronto, for anybody who's recently been to Toronto, you'll be able to see that apartment complexes, shopping malls, all sorts of modern infrastructure is all being built by Chinese investors who are investing in real estate, transferring their liquid assets out of China and putting them into real estate in Canada. This was all done with cash. No borrowing from the Canadian banks, no trading on any of the stock exchanges in Canada, all liquid investment into property on a large scale. Now that China's stocks have been in the situation they are in, suddenly Canada starts to enter a recession. Question is, was Canada too reliant on its partnership with, was like an unofficial partnership with China? And now that the Chinese investments are worth less than they were, It's having an effect on the Canadian economy. This is something that many analysts are overlooking, and it mustn't be overlooked because it's quite clear that there is a correlation between the two. Now, infrastructure. Talking of infrastructure, Currenex, New York-based trading platform company, very quiet company, very long-established company that really doesn't have any interaction with the media normally, for quite some good reason. Their policy is to be very quiet. However, Finance Feeds learned that just last week, Currenex launched its co-located service on the Equinix LD4 data center in West London, in Slough, in West London. They did so to a wave of tumultuous silence. And in fact, the reason is, as far as I've been able to learn from Currenex, that it is hosting itself in with all the exchanges and institutional technology and institutional forex brokerages in London, liquidity providers, to reduce the latency significantly when providing liquidity and platform technology to British companies and to institutions within Britain that want to sell their liquidity and platform services on as an institutional provider on a B2B basis to retail brokerages. So that's something which quite clearly shows that Currenex is still very much up there with the top companies. It is very much competing with the mainstream institutional British firms and quite clearly looking forward to getting involved further in those, reducing the latency and providing that via B2B relationship to a Far Eastern audience. We shall see. Very interesting times ahead. Thank you for watching. I'm Andrew Sachs McLeod. See you next time. Goodbye.